Alright, let's get right into it. Kirby's Dreamland 2, Level 4, Iceberg! The cutscene here is showing us that we will be wanting Rick because of his natural ability to not slide on the ice. But that's sad because we have to leave Kind behind. I just want to demonstrate, of course, the music of this level. It's also very good. But yeah, I'm a fan of ice levels. Again, what's cool about Kirby's Dream Land 2 is that it takes what's frustrating about water levels and ice levels, which is mainly how the swimming mechanics generally slow the game, and ice physics can also lead to some frustration. And the animal friends actually play a part in making that gameplay a bit more smooth. Here what I'm doing is getting Gooey's girlfriend, or Girl Gooey, I'm not sure. You need her for the 1% if you want 100% the game, and that's a great place to try to randomly encounter her, because there the burlap sack is always going to give you Rick the hamster, and the way Gooey appears is if you are riding an animal friend and the game is trying to give you that same animal friend, you'll get Gooey. And if you do that enough times, randomly, you'll encounter the girl Gooey. The elusive girl Gooey. These penguins are kind of tough. They like to shoot their ice at inconvenient times. So that was Ice Rick, here's Boomerang Rick, just showing him off, you know. This one's actually kind of bad, I think, because when you throw it, you are defenseless for the amount of time that you throw the boomerang. Well, it's not that bad, but I don't know, I just find it to be kind of tricky. And here's the Rock Rick, which I like. Rock Rick. The names are similar, and it's just a fun little attack right there. I like how you can still see Rick's little hair, and I guess is kind of where his eye would go to. I also want to mention that instance with getting Rick and getting Rock at the same time, it feels really rewarding because Rick is sort of a ground type character, so when he gets Rock, you get the sequence that really empowers the Rock physics because you're going down all those hills and you're just breezing through, and it makes that part of the game, to me, actually kind of like a memorable and fun part. And this part's fun too, getting to run through a cold, snowy day with our warm hamster friend. I want to do these mini-bosses and use copy abilities more for them, but I just find that I usually have copy abilities that don't really suit mini-boss encounters. Like, it's hard to land attacks on a mini-boss that doesn't just die after you hit it with something like the Rock ability, because you're going to be like ramming into him, and that usually ends up hurting you as well, so it's not really worth it. And the abilities don't do that much damage. The only way that doing an ability would be faster than using the inhale ability would be if you were spamming something like Fire Cutter on the boss and just constantly doing damage. The reason why that'd be faster is just because sometimes the bosses give you bad patterns when it comes to something you can actually inhale to throw back at them. This reminds me of if you've ever played Donkey Kong Country's Return. A lot of the boss fights in that game had you just wait for the boss to throw something that Donkey Kong could grab and then throw back at the boss, and to me it makes the fight more passive. You're just kind of waiting to be able to attack, and I like being able to attack when I think I can attack, because sometimes you get greedy, you know, and you try to attack too much. Thing is, I'm not finding those abilities before the boss fights enough, and I'm not bringing them in, especially because sometimes we have to use certain abilities to get rainbow drops and stuff, so in my opinion there's been a couple too many just inhale boss fights, but what can you do? Also, some of the abilities that you've seen have also been kind of lackluster in my opinion. The inhale ability is actually pretty solid. It has a bit of a delay to it, I suppose, in the boss fights you see, but you're still able to do boss fights, and you get to kind of see the boss fight for what it is a bit better. Some boss fights, as we'll actually see, if you use a copy ability, you just wallop on them way too hard, and you don't even get to see anything the boss would have done regardless. So here we are, stage 3, and we're going in with Koo. I want to use this room to show off a lot of Koo's abilities, because we might not get a chance later in the game. Here's Rock. It looks pretty funny. This I actually I thought I was okay, I was gonna make it, but eventually it forces you to get out of the rock. It does last a while though, to its credit. So yeah, that penguin was a jerk and hit me. I actually get hit a lot in this room. But yeah, there's rock demonstrated. Here's ice. Kind of a bad one in my opinion, because it's sort of just weird and hard to aim. Like, honestly, I just take needle. Like, it shoots in all directions. This is kind of one of the bad ones. So yeah, we got hit there too, and now electricity. Electricity's alright. It's good for doing fast amounts of damage, as we'll see. But you do have to be able to get above the boss fight. But for this one, we'll see that, that's actually not too hard sometimes. And this is what I'm talking about, like, if I always just did some spammy thing like this, it probably wouldn't be fun. So, doing the inhale ability ain't bad. It's kind of what Kirby's also about in some ways. And now we're gonna check out Kine with some abilities. Kine, I think all around has good abilities. Like this freeze one. See, what's good is you actually continue to move while you do this. This is basically what I'd want those abilities. And then if you hold it too long, you freeze Kine, which is pretty funny. It's a good bit of a balancing thing they do there to make it not so crazy, or else you'd just be holding it the whole time. But this is basically like way too good of an ability, so I understand why Needle and Electricity, for example, aren't so much like this. Those guys that fly around will get angry if you have an animal friend. They kind of come later in the game, and we'll start to find out that animal friends, beyond Ku, it's kind of a bit of a trade-off because Kirby can fly, which is actually very important and nice in a platforming game, especially when we're at these death-defying jumps. And now technically you can just cancel out of the animal friend if you did a bad jump, but sometimes you don't react to that, you know, so they can be a little bit treacherous. But the thing is, it's important to bring Kine into level 4. You can, I think, get Kine randomly from this mini-boss, but it doesn't always happen. I actually really love the fire mini-boss in Kirby's Dream Land 2. He's one of my favorites. Again, though, he does create 2 stars at a given time, and he does attack frequently, so he's actually somebody that's pretty useful to do the inhale ability, because you can kill him really fast just like that. Now, it's important to have Kine because it's important to get Kine plus fire, because that's what we're going to need if we want the rainbow drop. Drop a beat on him, boys. So, yeah, with Kine, just don't get hit in this whole scenario. It's actually kind of hard. This rainbow drop, I think people kind of remember it as being a harder part in this part of the game. And we'll see why, because, like, this is all like, okay, you know, for a 4th level where the game's getting harder, like, this is a bit, like, to be expected. They expect you to bring in an ability that you don't just find laying about all over in this level, like how we had for the others. So what we're gonna do is take the fire ability with Kine into the secret room with the rainbow drop. But this is the thing, my friends. If some people just can't do this, it's hilarious. You have to let go of the copy ability and do that. Twice. The thing is, don't go for both at the same time. Just do one, inhale it, do one, inhale it. And yeah, you'll be able to get it, but some people just find that so frustrating, and it comes at the end of that difficult section too, so yeah. And then that's the loser reward, if you do not have fire up to that point. You can see the game designers had some fun with that bit. Unfortunately, we are getting rid of Ku here, even though, or sorry, Kine, even though I do love Kine. One thing I've wanted to do with this Let's Play is to actually get Kine on the victory cloud of the 1-up screen, because I haven't been able to show that off. I haven't showed off his great dance moves. Here we have Chufty Kirby, oh man. He actually looks like the white box art on Dreamland 1 right now. This is a really nice color palette as well. I don't mean to keep saying that. It's complementary to how they did the water level, I suppose, but the use of white is very nice in this. Kirby just stands out really well. There is the whole Kirby yellow or Kirby pink thing, I suppose. And I'm glad Kirby's pink. I think it works. But I like yellow Kirby too. Don't get me wrong. Okay, here we go. Boss fight time. Just when I was talking about how I've been trying to get more into using copy abilities for boss fights, I don't use it there, so unfortunate there. But I don't know. This boss fight's a fun one. His attacks are a bit more predictable, I would say. Or like, you're kind of more guaranteed that he'll have a high percentage of doing the attack that you want. Like, yeah, granted he'll do one of those. Okay, he does 2 of those, that's kind of bad. I don't know. But yeah, eventually he does this, and you can, if you're good, you can hit him twice with it, and again, like, not too bad. Not too bad there. Some boss fights have been kind of messing up, but it's all okay. Of course, we go back to do the bonus chance. This one's a bit tough, I gotta admit. Oh, you can feel the tension. Hey, we did it. Woo! Next up, I believe it's the Red Mountain.